It's your boy Akino Ladisu
and Chuck T's,
and welcome back to another episode of Driving While Black podcast. We're in sunny, beautiful Los Angeles, California. Yay! Thank y'all for riding with us. What up, Chuck?
what's that in African?
I'm chilling, man. Had to switch the name on them real quick, man.
Yeah, you know, had to drop the new alias.
Absolutely, man. But how you been, man? How's your week?
Week is good, man. It's been slow, but
Yeah.
you know, we grinded it out. And now we're here.
Nice, man.
You
We
know what I mean?
about to end February, head into March, man. Time's flying. 2021.
Bruh, why does January seem like it takes 60 days to get through, but
Yeah,
then
yeah,
February is like
February,
it's like 2 weeks. It's
Game
done.
over. Yeah. Man, how's your 2021 been so far, though?
2021, man. It's
Compared
been a
to
lot
2020,
of.
I guess.
Oh, damn. Compared to 22, it's been fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. It's only up from
You
here,
know what I
man.
mean? I could say the media's died down. You don't hear a lot of crazy stuff in the media anymore.
Yeah,
Probably for good reason.
yeah. Right,
Politics
right.
is kind of
It's
settled down
yep.
a little bit. So
which is
able
good.
to kind of, dial in and focus on myself and the family and,
That's good.
trying to find ways to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Keep thriving and striving. It's been good, man. I've been trying to do a lot, man. I've been trying to just put my best foot forward in everything I do. That's kind of my new thing. Just trying to be a high valued man in all areas. So it's been good. Sometimes it takes a lot out of you, though.
Right.
Yeah,
I can
it's
agree with
challenging, but I like it. I like the new perspective. I like where I'm at. So yeah, man. Yeah. But before we jump into what we're talking about today, just wanted to reiterate, what Driving While Black podcast is all about. We are for our black and brown communities. We want to just talk about some of the immediate issues within our communities. This platform was created in part as a form of therapy for the both of us to kind of talk through some of the issues, some of the grievances, some of the trauma that we're facing. And we also want it to be a form of therapy for you guys. Have these conversations with your friends, your family, and also people that don't look or think like you. And then we also want to use this platform to celebrate our black and people as well, because we are doing great things in the community. We have been from the beginning of time. So we want to highlight those things and bring them to light. So, yeah.
I definitely second that.
Absolutely.
Need to say no more.
Say less. That's what the kids are saying now?
Say less?
Say less.
I think that's what they say.
You don't even know. You're like,
Yeah.
I think.
I thought it would say no more and it say less now.
Nah,
All right.
say less.
They switch it up every 6 months.
Yep. But today we're talking about something important, something I guess can be perceived controversial, but I don't think it is. Something really important is we're talking about our black and brown queens, and we're talking about protecting our black and brown women.
Yes, sir. And the reason why we say protect our black and brown women is because there's a lack of protection out there.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of things and a lot of, news reports and just things you see in the media or see, anywhere for that fact it's just some of these situations are kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and historically, black women have been at the bottom of the totem pole in this country. They've been unprotected. They've been disrespected. The late, great Malcolm X once said, the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. What do you think about that?
I would say that's facts.
Yeah.
I would say that's big facts. Black women in this country are double minorities. Mm-hmm. They are black women, black and women. So just by that, they are kind of put them on the bottom.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because on all reality, they should be at the top. Right. Black women, for the beginning of mankind, were the creators of our race, computers of the human race.
Right.
They're the mothers of all people. So they should be held at a high regard, but in the country that we live in, that's not the case.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely the backbone, at least for sure, in the black community. They keep the family together. A lot of them are, raising our young kings, our young queens up, sacrificing a lot, and just doing what they got to do. So yeah, we just wanted to celebrate our black queens today and just talk about the lack of respect put on our black women.
Yeah, we gotta put some respect on their
We
name.
got to put some respect on the names, man. I think, again, historically, this country, our own communities, our own people, um, you know, haven't been putting the appropriate amount of respect on black women. But we're here to, have that dialogue today and hopefully, shed a light on some things that have happened recently within the media, and just talk about, how we can stop this.
Definitely.
So, the first thing we wanted to talk about was a situation where a young black woman was almost lost her life. Almost lost her life to the hands of an NFL football player by the name of Chad Wheeler. He's an offensive lineman, 6'7", 315 pounds.
Big boy.
He's a big cat. And he was arrested early January in Seattle when his live-in girlfriend at the time, Aaliyah Taylor, called the police because he damn near beat her unconscious.
Oh, he did beat her
He
unconscious.
beat her unconscious. Yeah. So, just to give some background, it was in Seattle, Washington. I guess, it started with he told her which I found interesting. He told her to bow in front of him.
Yeah. He told her to pretty much bow to me.
Yeah.
And you would think that a person that would say that in their mind, they're coming from a place of authority or superiority.
Right.
And Chad Wheeler being a 6'7", 315 pound white male in the NFL, and his girlfriend's a 5'9", 140 pound black woman, telling your girlfriend to bow to me is kind of that made me raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And naturally, she was like, "I'm not bowing to you." So he proceeded to beat her unconscious. She eventually ended up waking up, and she said that when she woke up, he was by the bed or by the door sipping a smoothie, and said, "Wow, I can't believe you're still alive," was his words. So she ran into the bathroom and proceeded to call 911, proceeded to call and text her family, and even call and text one of his family members.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we just wanted to shed light on this because we felt there wasn't too much media coverage and media attention on this topic.
No, there wasn't immediate attention.
There wasn't immediate attention. I don't think there was enough.
Yeah, I think this story broke over the weekend, and I remember the story broke over the weekend, and that following Monday came, and it was I think the Sunday after like a Super Bowl, not a Super Bowl game, but a playoff football game. And so that following Monday, with that negative news story in football coming off of a game, you would expect that to be a topic. But that following Monday, you didn't hear a peep.
Yeah.
The next Tuesday, you heard Shannon Sharp on Undisputed talk about it.
Yeah.
And he brought it up like, hey, I'm not going to come up here and just start, debating this topic. He's like, this topic needs to be a conversation.
Right.
And it's about what this NFL player did to a woman.
Right.
And he was one person that kind of held our viewpoint on it and spoke out. But other than on a sports radio show or a television show, I didn't really hear too much of it anywhere else.
Yeah. And I did hear mentions of it on certain platforms, but I felt like it was just a story in the news to kind of just move through. It was just a mention, like, oh yeah, this happened, And let's move on to
Yeah,
the
it
next
seemed like a
news
filler
topic.
story.
Yeah, and what hurt me and kind of got my attention was the fact that, yeah, it felt like a filler story, but this was from people reporting from our communities on it. And you would think, a 6'7", 315-pound white man beating a black woman unconscious would have our black and brown platforms in an uproar. But I felt like it was just like, oh, just another news story, just another day, let's keep it moving type of situation.
Right.
And I felt like this is the importance of our platforms, to bring light to these situations, bring awareness to these situations, and offer support for ultimately our black women. And I feel like we failed as a community to some degree in that.
Oh yeah, it was an epic fail.
Yeah.
I think a reason why I believe this wasn't spoke about, in the media or just, black platforms in general, is because this black woman was with a white man and was with an NFL. He's an NFL player. So when the story comes out, I assume certain black men will go, well, that's what you get for dating a white dude.
I think I saw that on a couple platforms.
Yeah, I seen that. A couple people was just like, shake my head, like, that's what you get.
Yeah.
And so that goes into why we say protect black women, because instead of, talking about this situation and to raise awareness, we're kind of just making fun of her.
Yeah, we're making fun of her and we're condemning her for, going to date a white man in the first place.
Yeah, which is, you love who you love. If she loved a man, hey, it is what it is. But given the situation, she is a black woman, and black men specifically should have spoke up for her, because I'm pretty sure there's women out there that spoke up for her, but black men speaking up for her would have held a little bit more weight.
And honestly, I didn't even really see white or black women really speaking up either. And I mean, obviously there are women that were in support and spoke up. I'm saying I didn't see enough. And even the ones that I did see speak up, it felt like it was a filler story. You were just trying to get through your bullet points.
Right. And it's also because it didn't circulate enough.
I was going to say that. It didn't. When I told my sister about it, she was like, what happened? What? When did that? And I told her, like, the extent of the story. He beat her unconscious. And then when she woke up, he was like, you still alive? And she was like, you're lying. I'm like, no, this is real life.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you don't know about this, that's a problem.
It's a problem. Big problem.
Big problem.
And like I said, it came out on a Tuesday when it happened on a Saturday. You would think it would have happened, obviously the NFL's not going to say anything because it's during the playoffs, right? They don't want to bring any negative attention to it. I get it. But ESPN and these other news networks, sports news networks, are not NFL teams. They're not associated with them. So they should bring it out first day. Monday should be out there.
Right.
It wasn't. They waited till Tuesday, which I thought that was a big mistake, because now you're letting time go by and you use that as a filler story on Tuesday.
Right.
On top of that, I don't remember seeing like CNN, Fox News, any other media platform speaking on it.
When I caught wind of it, I was on Facebook and I saw one of my Facebook friends, a white dude, mention it, and he was like, how is nobody talking about this? This should be a story all over the news. And then another white dude commented underneath it and was like kind of in agreement, and they're like, who the fuck is this Chad Wheeler guy? Like, and kind of making fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know who the dude was either. I didn't really pay that too much attention.
Mm-hmm.
But then a few days later, there was another story that I caught wind of as well. But the fact that the first time I saw it again was from a white person, a white dude that was also shocked, like, yo, how come no one's talking about this? This is crazy. Again, that's a problem. And especially for the young lady, Aaliyah Taylor, to be going through this again, right? To be traumatized. You were attacked and almost lost your life. to someone who you loved, right? That in itself is traumatizing. But then to be publicly going through this and going through and kind of having to go against someone who does have some level of notoriety, right? Being in the NFL, being a football player, and also going, I don't want to say against, but kind of going against the NFL.
Right.
So it's like not having that support from the public makes it harder. It makes it tougher.
Yeah, definitely. And on top of that, I think what really bothered me about this story was Chad Wheeler's apology tweet.
Yeah,
Tweet at that, right? So immediately during his apology tweet, he's immediately said he had a manic episode. So he's already saying, hey, I have mental health issues.
He's saying I'm bipolar.
I'm sorry for the pain that, Aaliyah Taylor went through, and, she deserves all the help that she needs, as do I. So
playing a victim role.
He's being a victim.
Already.
And it's like, yo, you beat this woman unconscious.
Yep.
I think you separated her shoulder. Like,
yeah. She said she has a plate and a rod, I think, that has to be in her arm for the rest of her life. I believe she said in her interview.
That's crazy. And you're immediately playing the victim, like, oh, it's because of my manic episode is why I decided to tell her to bow down to me, and I almost beat her. I beat her unconscious. Like, for me, I heard also that he decided to stop taking his medication for his bipolar, mental illness. So if you consciously make a decision to not take your medicine, and then you have a situation like this happen, you shouldn't be able to say, oh, well, I had a manic episode, because you made a choice to not take your medicine to prevent this episode. So, usually in these situations when you see people automatically go to mental illness, they're trying to get out of prison time. They're trying to reduce the sentence, get them in a mental health facility. And it's almost a common practice. You see it all the time.
Oh, for sure.
And this is another case where it's going to happen. And because this story isn't getting enough media attention, it just might happen.
It just might happen, absolutely. And for me, it's like, I don't know too much about, being bipolar or anything like that, or having manic episodes. But what stood out for me was the fact that you beat this woman unconscious. When she woke up, you said, damn, how are you still alive? While you were sipping on a smoothie. And then when the police showed up, we listened to the audio. When the police showed up, you were like, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, Aaliyah, I love you. And you were kind of, at that point, you knew you had fucked up. You knew you were in trouble. You were being apprehended. You were being arrested. You knew you were going to get charged. You knew you had fucked up at that point. So in that quick of a moment, you knew you went from beating her unconscious, and then because the police showed up, you went from being overly apologetic.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't add up for me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a mental illness. That just seems like, oh shit, I got caught. Oh shit, I'm in trouble.
Right.
So normal human behavior.
Right, exactly. And for me, the other thing is, people that commit crimes, people that are violent, I would say, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose people with mental illnesses, but I would say a lot of the people in jail serving time for violent crimes have some type of mental health issues.
Yep, I could agree to that.
Just because you are bipolar or you have a manic episode or you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're exempt from being held accountable and going to jail or prison. Because there are hundreds and thousands of black and brown men and women sitting in jail because they've committed violent crimes.
And also have mental health issues.
And also have mental health issues.
100%.
And prison and jail, or at least prison, is supposed to be somewhere where you're supposed to get rehabilitated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he does, in fact, Chad Wheeler does, in fact, have mental health issues, go to prison and seek rehabilitation. You got to be held accountable. And I found it interesting. They asked her in her interview, do you want, because this was a man that at one point you loved, do you want him to go to prison? Do you want him to go to jail? And she said, absolutely. She's like, he needs to be held accountable for what he did. And she mentioned that what really broke her down and really got her, and why she wants him to be held accountable is when she spoke to her, I think her nieces and her nephews, and they were speaking to her as if they thought she was dead.
Right.
And I guess that really, really affected her and impacted her, and she was like, because of that reason, I need this guy to be held accountable.
Yeah, because then what's the perception on her if she just allows that to happen and nothing happens to him?
Right.
She just let him do it.
Exactly.
You know, so, you know, that goes to say, man, like, you know, we try to use our platform to speak on this situation. Hopefully it gets brought back up again and gets circulated, and we find out if you know, if Chad Wheeler gets, you know, convicted of domestic violence, of, you know, attempted murder, you could probably say, you know, based off of what she said he told her when she woke up.
Yeah.
You know, I would be interested to see what happens with that.
And the fact that he told her to bow to him, it sounds like, again, this was premeditated. This is something he knew he was going to do. He showed zero remorse when she woke up from being unconscious. I'm sure, I don't know how long she was unconscious for, but I would assume you would have a period of time if you had a manic episode to kind of come to and snap out of it and be like, oh shit, my girlfriend is laying unconscious on the floor. Let me call the police. Let me try to see if she's alive. Nah, you were chilling by the bed sipping a smoothie.
Like you just came back from Jamba Juice.
Right. like you just had a hard workout, like, and you know what I mean?
Trying to revitalize.
To the point where she woke up and you're like, damn, I thought you was dead.
Yeah, so he had intent to kill. It's like intent to kill right there. I thought you were dead, so I was just going to enjoy this smoothie and figure out what I'm going to do with you.
Do with the body.
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully, the right people are paying attention to the story. Hopefully we can get some more eyes and some lights put on this story and have this man be held accountable, because that is ridiculous, man. She is half that man's size. You're damn near half that man's size. Like, I wouldn't want to be locked in a fucking hotel room or room with that dude. Going to blows.
And half her size, but 10 times stronger than her. He pretty much fights other men for a living that are his size.
Puts the beats on other men. Yeah.
So he could literally destroy her with 2 fingers. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's not even comparable. So
yeah, and that's what got me. It's just the fact that he's a football player, so he is, again, he does that for a living. He abuses other men and puts the beats on other men stronger than him, his size, and stronger than him for a living. She's half his size. He beat her unconscious, and then had the gall to say, "Yo, I can't believe you're still alive, damn."
Yeah.
Like that alone, those, you know what I mean, dynamics, I was like, this is ridiculous. More people need to be talking about this and speaking about this. There's no way that this can go under the radar, and there's no way that this guy cannot be held accountable.
100%. It's got to happen, you know, but, you know, we'll wait and see. See what happens with it.
But that's just another instance of, you know, our black women being disrespected and unprotected.
Definitely.
Unfortunately.
And that brings us to another situation that happened, I believe, in 2020. It was the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez altercation.
Yep.
And that happened out in LA County, Hollywood Hills. Supposedly they were having a discussion in the car, turned into an argument. Meg Thee Stallion walked away, and Tory Lanez pulled out a gun and shot at her feet.
Shot at her feet, yeah. Which is crazy. It's when the story broke, I feel like everyone was just like, what? Like, that is unheard of. Like, all the crazy shit that we've witnessed and we've heard of, within hip hop, we've never heard of a celebrity, a male celebrity, pulling out a gun on another female celebrity, female superstar at that, pulling out a gun on her and firing and shooting her. Like that was on another level, and I think everyone was just confused.
Yeah, that's very extreme.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I don't care what type of relationship you have with your girlfriend, baby mama, wife, some person you're talking to. Like, you should never, as a man, resort to pulling out your gun on a female. Now, granted, they're trying to paint the story as if Meg Thee Stallion is some huge Amazon woman that's just super aggressive, and Tory Lanez is this itty bitty man that, you know, was a victim of Meg Thee Stallion's, being a big female.
My thing is, who's trying to paint that story and why?
Because I guess they're trying to protect Tory.
Why? Like, why would we protect allegedly a man who shot another woman? Wouldn't it be the other way around?
It should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around. Like, I don't think any story should be painted. The facts should be the facts, and we should find the truth. But if there is going to be a story painted, it should be the other way around.
Right.
And the media and everyone should be in support of Meg Thee Stallion. Why are we painting Meg Thee Stallion to be this big Amazon woman that was bullying Tory Lanez and he shot her in self-defense? Like, that's crazy. That's absurd.
Mind-blowing.
And mind you, not everyone was doing that. I did see women, for the most part, it was women. It wasn't men coming to the defense of Meg Thee Stallion, which was good, which I appreciate. But I did want to see, A, more men come to her defense, and B, I wanted to see more people within the culture, within hip-hop, within our community come to her defense and her aid.
Oh, yeah, because you would think, with men checking them, like, yo, like, iron sharpens iron. So I'm gonna let you know, like, yo, you wilding right now.
Yeah.
Like, you tripping, bro. Like, you need to dial this shit back.
Right.
Somebody
absolutely.
needs to step in and let him know, like, dude, you what are you doing? Like, like, do you know what's gonna happen to you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that it wasn't done publicly, nobody from his team or where he's from, put it out there like, yo, Tory, you need to chill.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And
that's expected. Like, your team is gonna hold you down. That's what your team is for. They might check him off the record, like, yo, fam, you wildin', you need to chill, stay off the internet, shut the fuck up. That's what he did. But I'm more so talking about the rest of the culture, the rest of hip hop, the rest of our communities. No one was really coming to her aid and supporting her. The only person we seen publicly of some level of notoriety was Bun B.
Mm-hmm.
In that video he posted on, I don't know where, it was probably Instagram, but in that video he was genuinely perplexed. He was trying to figure out why no one was stepping out and supporting Meg Thee Stallion, but really why no one was checking homie. Like, this is what we doing now? We pulling guns out and shooting female superstars?
Yo.
And the fact that we're talking about black women being unprotected and disrespected and all of that, but the fact that a black woman that is a superstar, that is supposed to be at some level or hold some status within our communities, was disrespected to that level, that just shows you there's it don't matter a woman's status. It don't matter a woman's contribution to her community. She can still be disrespected. And on top of that, Tory Lanez aside, men and women are still not going to come to a black woman's aid and support. They going to be on the internet making jokes and posting memes.
Yeah, like,
that's crazy.
Like 50, man, like 50 Cent, that's the first thing he did. And, you know, we know 50 Cent's the biggest troll, but how powerful would it have been if 50 Cent was like, yo, someone needs to go beat the shit out of Tory Lanez right now? Like, that would have sent a different message than just making fun of the situation. Because at the end of the day, outside looking in, a black man shot a black woman, so anybody on the outside is going to be like, see, black on black crime.
Right.
Why should we care about everything else when it comes to police brutality, so on and so forth, when y'all are doing shit like this?
And not only are y'all doing shit like this, y'all are on the internet making light and fun of the situation.
And you're clowning on it.
And the powerful people with influence and notoriety are clowning it.
So if the people with influence and power they don't care, then why should we care?
And y'all want to care when it's convenient. Y'all want to care when it's a police officer that shoots a black person, or another white person that shoots a black person. But when it's a black man that shot a black woman, y'all get on the internet and post memes and tweet stupid shit. How does that even make sense? Someone make it make sense.
Bro, it's backwards. It's backwards, and it's counterintuitive to what ultimately we all want as people is to progress and get justice.
Right. And Drea was on the internet and said some shit like, she said, I want to see what she said. She said, abusive. She said, I predict that they had some sort of Bobby and Whitney love that, drove them down this Snapped-esque type of road. And I'm here for it. I like that. I want you to like me so much that you shoot me in the foot too. What?
That's ass backwards. That's backwards thinking. Like, what female wants a dude to love them so much that they'll shoot them? Like that shouldn't even be something that comes out of somebody's mouth.
Let alone you getting on the internet and tweeting it for
public consumption.
Your millions of followers.
Like, what type of message are you sending to little girls out there?
So I don't want to see you protesting, posting anything concerning Black Lives Matter, posting anything concerning police brutality, if when a black woman gets shot by another black man, you post some stupid ass shit like that.
No. They shouldn't even be, like, she should be banned. She should be banned from Twitter for a stupid ass comment like that.
Like, that's crazy.
Like, she should lose her black card. Is she even black? Is Drea black?
We gonna get into that, huh?
Is she black?
I don't know if she's black or not.
Yeah, because she definitely don't need to be speaking on
I'm sure she's black. But, god damn, Tory Lanez aside, like, where's the... And that's the whole conversation, and that's... we don't support each other, man. And it's like, we don't support our black and brown women. Like, she could have died. Like, we have to be that, we have to think like that. Like, it's that serious. Like, what if she died? Would you be making jokes like that? No, you wouldn't.
You'd be making RIP posts.
Exactly. No, you wouldn't. But you have to understand, thankfully she didn't die, but you have to understand, if we're online making jokes and things like that, people are going to think this okay, and it can happen again, and someone can, knock on wood, die because of your dumbass memes and jokes.
Sad shit. And even like what Chrissy Teigen chimed in too and said some stupid shit. So it's like a lot of these celebrities or people from our culture with status are just unconscious to how their, responses to this situation, how it negatively affects the culture and negatively affects our perception to people on the outside.
And it negatively affects everybody that's black and brown. Because you have to understand, this is one situation, but there's domestic situations that happen all the time. So if there's people that are seeing, a severe of the situation's being made fun of, so the next time I get into an altercation with my girl and the gun sitting there, I might just subconsciously pull it out, and who knows. So it's like, people got to be more responsible with their platforms, especially people with millions of followers, especially with people of influence and notoriety. We got to be more responsible, and we just got to support each other and like hold each other up, especially another woman.
Man.
And here's the thing, like, if we all make jokes, we all make light of certain situations. I'm sure when that situation broke, there was jokes that we made, right? But I'm gonna do that in the comfort of my home with my friends and my family.
Right, we're not gonna put it on in a public forum
for the world to see
and to comment on and to chime in and to add fuel to the fire. Like
that's absurd.
Nah.
That's crazy. And that, of course, what Tory Lanez did allegedly is wrong and is why we're even talking about the situation. But aside from that, it's the lack of support, man, and protection that we give, again, our black women.
Right. And like you said, she's a superstar.
Right.
So obviously she felt comfortable with dude, but even then, she felt comfortable enough to be with him in that situation, and he pulled out a gun. Like, she was probably thinking, hey, if anything popped off, you're supposed to protect me.
You gonna hold me down.
You got the gun to protect us, not to use it against me. Like, what?
That's some backward shit, man.
You know, so
that's some backward shit.
I don't personally even listen to Tory Lanez. I don't really fuck with dude. So this just, put a nail in the coffin for me. Like, I will not ever support old boy.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not with it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you do make a hit.
Yeah.
I don't, if y'all gonna stop fucking with R. Kelly, y'all need to stop fucking with Tory Lanez.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had an intention to hurt, allegedly, this one, to hurt Meg.
Yeah.
And like you said, could have killed her if, he was an inch off. You know what I mean? So there's just, from my end, there never will be support, because that's just way out of bounds, out of line. And the fact that nobody in hip hop checked him, besides a couple people, like you said, Bun B, I believe Questlove said something also.
Yeah.
But there should be more of that.
And I love hip hop, man, right? Like, we all do. But sometimes I just be thinking to myself, this shit just ass backwards sometimes. Like, there's a lot of hypocrisy. And it's frustrating, right? Because it's like, we'll disrespect women all day long in the music and in the lyrics, right? Mm-hmm. We'll talk about shooting each other all day long in the music and the lyrics. But when someone dies, it's R.I.P., put down the guns, let's stop the violence, why are we doing this to each other? Yo, they was talking about it in their music. This is what they do.
It was inevitable.
And they were glorifying it, and we were backing and supporting and championing it.
Spending our dollars.
And we're saying, yo, if you ain't about that life, like, to speak like this and rap like this, you got to be about that life. If you ain't about that life, I don't want to hear you rap and speak about it.
Right.
Like, we're championing the authenticity. If you rap about this, we want you to be about this.
Right.
And when they're about it, it's like, man, R.I.P., it went too far. It's like, that's some bullshit.
Too late then.
That's some bullshit that we need to stop. And when another man shoots another man, it's like, man, let's keep it on wax. Let's put down the guns. Cool, with R.I.P. But when it's a man that shoots a woman, everyone's
quiet.
What? Y'all acting like y'all don't have mothers out here and sisters and
aunties and cousins and grandmas
and girlfriends and wives, like, and daughters.
Like
what the fuck?
Like, because if you think that's okay,
tripping.
Another man's gonna think it's okay to do that to a woman in your family.
Tripping.
Will you have the same reaction? Probably not. So if you're not gonna have that same reaction and you would trip on that happening to a family member, then you need to carry that same energy with anybody who gets blatantly disrespected and disregarded in the situation. She was disregarded by hip hop.
Like, and she's the top, she's the superstar.
She's numbered.
She's the queen of hip hop.
She's top 3.
Cardi B.
She's top 3 in female MCs, and
top
she got
3 and not 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And got no support.
That's crazy. That's that's disappointing for someone that loves the culture, that's a fan of the culture, that's been a fan and loved the culture from when I could remember, from when I was a kid and a baby and grew up in it. That is the hypocrisy in hip hop hurts me sometimes. It's like, yo, why are we on one hand saying R.I.P. put the guns down here in this situation, and when a female gets shot by a dude, we're all quiet. We have nothing to say about it.
No, bro, we definitely the culture and hip hop took a L on that one.
Took a big L. That's wild. And you gotta understand, white people are looking at us like, there they go, self-destructing again.
See what we're talking about? This
black on black crime, black on black violence.
Yep, and they just sitting back.
Y'all can't get it together. Come on, man.
Come on, man. We're our own worst enemy sometimes.
Come on, man.
You know, but you know, on to the next unfortunate story that a black woman was not protected within this past year was the biggest story actually was Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Breonna Taylor. This story was brought to my attention and was crazy because it blew up everywhere, right? For a short second in between George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor's story got put out there. And the biggest thing that stuck out to me was that there was a no-knock warrant and they shot inside her apartment and she was killed basically in her own bed.
Yeah.
And just thinking about all the different situations where black people were shot or killed at the hands of police, you never were going to think that I'm not safe in my own bed.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation for Breonna Taylor, she was murdered in her own bed.
Young woman, 26 years old.
You know, she was a healthcare professional. She was doing the right thing.
Yep.
You know, responsible person.
And they shot her 8 times, by the way.
8 times through a wall. Right? So, once again, like, in her situation, I don't think there was a way she could have been protected because I guess her boyfriend at the time shot back. You know, you got these bullets flying through your front door. Mm-hmm. So, all right, I'm going to shoot back. Protection mechanism. Anybody of any race would do that if they're getting bullets thrown in their house, shot through in their house.
Right.
And, you know, she got hit 8 times.
She got hit 8 times. And what I found interesting about this, what I noticed was people were rallying for Breonna Taylor in regards to holding the police officers accountable and getting them charged and arrested. But that process took a while. Even getting the officers arrested and charged, it took a while compared to the George Floyd case.
Right. I think that also had to do with video evidence. There are no video footage of Breonna Taylor getting shot.
I mean, I guess, but the fact of the matter is she was shot 8 times.
There shouldn't need to be footage.
There shouldn't need to be footage. And what I found interesting was the media and the public got behind the George Floyd situation, right? And were touched by that. It almost felt like Breonna Taylor, people were saying, yo, don't forget about Breonna Taylor. What about the cops that shot Breonna Taylor? What about the cops that killed Breonna Taylor? It was almost in a tone, it came across as she was falling to the wayside. Her story was getting pushed down. You know, it was getting
buried.
It was getting buried.
Yeah, it was getting buried.
And again, that's another clear example of women being undervalued and being disrespected and unprotected.
Right. And I saw the NBA do a great job with trying to keep, you know, Breonna Taylor's narrative alive, especially the WNBA. The WNBA went as far as during their games, they wore T-shirts with 8 bullet holes in the back.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but that's crazy.
Saying, you know, we need to arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Along with the NBA did the same thing. I remember the Utah Jazz played a game, and then Donovan Mitchell went to the podium. The reporter asked him a question, you know, how do you feel about tonight's game? And he's like, I how about the cops that killed Breonna Taylor? And every question that was asked of him that night, he just kept repeating it.
Yeah.
What about the cops that killed Breonna Taylor? And he kept bringing it up. And then it trickled down to every player from every team. When they got asked a question, they made sure that they mentioned Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
And they wore T-shirts. And overall, they did a great job.
Yeah.
But other than basketball, I don't really see anybody else stepping up to the plate and making sure Breonna Taylor message was being put out there, was being heard, and ultimately, fighting for her justice.
Yeah, I saw it on social media. I saw it from celebrities, but in comparison to George Floyd, and I don't want to compare their deaths because they're just as tragic, right? We lost, unfortunately, people's lives were lost at the hands of the police unjustly for no reason, right? So I don't want to compare them, but if we're looking at Breonna Taylor's story, she was asleep in her home. They got the wrong house, and they shot her 8 times. We shouldn't have to be tweeting and posting and saying, "What about?"
Not at all.
The country should be in an uproar. If you can't feel safe in your own home, being a law-abiding citizen, again, she was 26 years old. She was a paramedic. She's asleep. And the police bust in and shoot her 8 times. And the police are they're charged but not convicted of killing her. The only thing they were convicted for was I can't remember the specifics of the charge, but ultimately it was they got charged, I think, and convicted for the bullet landing in the neighboring apartment.
Right. What? So you mean the neighboring apartment that a bullet hole went through their wall that didn't hit anybody, those people got justice.
Those people got justice, bro.
But the person who died
and got shot 8 times, make it make sense,
got no justice. How is the system going to correct itself if Breonna Taylor doesn't get justice? That goes to show you, in that moment, the system should have been like, damn, our protocols and procedures failed us.
And what's sad, just thinking about it now, is we were putting up such a fight, like, yo, don't forget about Breonna Taylor, don't forget about Breonna Taylor. And how about the officers that charged Breonna Taylor, and when they got let off and they weren't convicted, it was silence. We stopped fighting.
Bro, I think the biggest disappointment about Breonna Taylor's situation was obviously no justice, but they still settled. They settled, and the family received $12 million for the settlement. But still, when you settle, in my mind, they're still like, okay, we're at fault, but we're not going to put the cops in prison for this, but here's $12 million for your suffering. So you're admitting fault, but you choose not to do something about the people who actually killed her.
And here's $12 million.
Here's $12 million to shut up.
Provided by taxpayers.
To shut up.
To shut up. And what I found interesting in doing research is a similar situation, I guess you could say. Not really, but there was a Australian-American woman by the name of Justine Damon, or I think her last name was like Russick. I can't pronounce it, but Justine Damon. I don't know if that was her maiden name or what have you. But she was, again, an Australian-American woman. She was white. She was 33 years old. And in Minneapolis, where Philando Castile was actually shot and killed, she was killed by a police officer. By the name of, the police officer's name was Muhammad Noor. And he was called to the scene. There was a 911 call about an assault of a woman in an alley behind her house. And long story short, the police officer, again, Muhammad Noor, a Somalian American man, ended up shooting this white woman. And he ended up being charged. He ended up being convicted and sentenced to 12 and a half years.
Damn.
12 and a half years. And what stood out to me and was crazy, he was initially charged with second degree manslaughter and third degree murder. He claimed self-defense. And then later the prosecutors upgraded his charges to second degree intentional murder. And he's a police officer. So they said, nah, fuck that. We're going to upgrade your charges to second degree intentional murder. You got called to the scene. Yeah, you're claiming self-defense, but nah, we believe that was intentional.
So how did they factor that?
How did they come to that conclusion?
Yeah, that's interesting. The woman did get killed. So the officer, depending on the situation, I don't really know the situation, but police officer kills somebody, depending on the situation, innately you're like, all right, well, yeah, something needs to happen to the police officer.
Yeah, the officer needs to be held accountable. But what I found interesting, in the same state a week prior, Philando Castile's officer was acquitted. And if you guys don't remember, Philando Castile was shot by a police officer in his car. He was in the passenger seat. His girl or his wife was driving the vehicle. They were stopped. He let the police officer know, I have a gun in the car, but I have a license for it. Just so you know, full transparency, I have a gun in the car, but I have a license for it. His wife or his baby moms or his girlfriend was driving the car. His kids were in the back. I don't know if he had one kid in the back or two, but he had one of his kids or two in the back. And the police officer shot him and killed him. And
on camera.
On camera. And a week prior to this case, in the same state, so we're comparing apples to apples, that officer, a white officer, was acquitted. And then a week later, I don't know if the cases were going on simultaneously. I don't think so. But a week later, this woman was shot and killed by a black officer. They upgraded his charges to intentional murder and then convicted him and sentenced him to 12 and a half years.
So, I don't mean to make this about race.
Hold on. It gets colder than that. And then, so the family and this woman got justice, right? He went to jail, he got convicted, he was held accountable. And then the family sued the state or the police department for $20 million.
Damn.
And won.
So
they settled $20 million.
So this Australian woman got justice. Her family got justice. And her family got $20 million.
$20 million.
If we weren't comparing it to something that happened literally right before this situation, I'd be like, all right, that's good, right? That's supposed to happen.
And that's FYI, that's one of the highest settlements involving police killing or an officer killing a civilian ever. One of the, I want to say it's the second. I want to say the highest is like 38 million.
Second.
And she's second.
Yeah, so that's great, right? If someone's killed by the hands of the police unjustly, their action needs to be taken towards the officer who did it. And a settlement, that's just icing on the cake if she got both. So this person's family got both. Great, right? But like you said, we're comparing apples to apples with the person previous to that, which was Philando Castile. The officer got off. And it was on camera. And he told the officer, I have a gun in the car, but I'm licensed to carry. Let me grab it for you. And was still shot. He was shot for no reason. Let me grab my license. He was shot for literally no reason.
No reason.
Actually, he was shot for... I think he was shot because he was black.
Oh, for sure.
He was shot because he was black, and the officer was scared. You could tell in the video.
The officer was shaking in his boots.
He was shaking.
For what reason, I don't know.
If you are... if you're a police officer and you're doing your job and you're in fear, you should not be a police officer.
If you're in that much fear for a traffic stop, you should not.
You should not be a police officer.
You should not be a police officer, and you should not be pulling anyone over. Just don't pull people over then if you're that scared.
No. Like, don't. Like, turn in your badge, bro.
Right.
Like, this is too much for you.
Right.
And the officer got off, and I don't think Philando Castile's family got a settlement.
I'm not too sure on that, but
just to say,
the fact that he was acquitted,
nothing.
And then in the same city and state, the person that black police officer was sentenced to 12 and a half. Make it make sense.
Right. So, like I said, this seems racial. Like, okay, the black cop
1,000%
goes to jail for 12 years, but the white cop gets off, paid leave. Like, come on, man.
Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense. At this point, the racism, the systemic racism is blatant in our face. And, man, we're not standing for it anymore. And that's why, again, we started this platform. We got to continue to bring these issues to light. And these are big issues that got media attention. But, again, similar to the Breonna Taylor situation, when the cops were acquitted and let off, we just stopped talking about it. We should have been in more of an uproar. You mean to tell me the only charge that stuck was the charge that said a bullet went to the neighboring apartment in the Breonna Taylor case? We should have been in more of an uproar, but for some reason, all the Breonna Taylor, don't forget about Breonna Taylor posts went away. That conversation stopped.
Yeah, as soon as you heard about the settlement, it stopped.
It stopped, and it's like, we got to continue to have these conversations because, again, we get desensitized. We forget we put these stories in our subconscious. And it's like, yo, we got to continue to have these conversations and continue to bring light and bring these things up because this shit's just absurd. It's the game's rigged, and it's we're playing for life and death. Those are the stakes.
Man. Just treat it across the board. You convict one cop, convict the other one. Don't pick and choose. Don't give it okay, well, this nuance was the determining factor of why we're not going to convict. No, convict them.
And if I'm not mistaken, when you're fighting cases in the court of law, they do compare cases to other cases. So it's like there's a number of cases where the cop got off. So I'm sure the defense made that parallel. Like, in this case, the cop got off. In this case, in this case, and in this case, the cop got off. So why, in this specific case, in regards to Muhammad Noor, is he being held to a different standard?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make, especially if it's a couple weeks or a month after the fact. Like, what, in his situation, what did he do? What was the situation to where he felt like he had to shoot that woman?
The only difference that I can see is he was black. That's the only
difference. It's like, all right,
difference.
we're going to hold a cop accountable. Let's hold the black cop accountable. And give the white woman justice.
Make it make sense.
It's got to be the same both ways.
Make it make sense. But that was just another instance, Breonna Taylor, where, she was almost forgotten about. She was obviously unprotected, disrespected. They ran up in her house, shot her 8 times while she was sleeping. And it felt like she was being forgotten about. But we did, in that instance, raise our voices and speak up on her behalf. And try to get her some type of justice. The system failed us, and it felt like we just went on with our lives.
At that point when the settlement came through and everybody knew she got $12 million, it was disappointing, but I guess we had to get on with our lives because at that point there was nothing to fight for. It got settled.
Yeah, it's not. And I'm not condemning us, like, we You know what I mean? Life goes on. But it's I guess the most notable thing for me is it felt like she was being forgotten about. And when you look at how absurd and outlandish that story is, like, man, imagine being in your house. You feel that's where you feel the safest, and getting shot 8 times by the police.
Inconceivable. I can't even imagine.
You can't even imagine it. So the fact that it was that absurd, and it seemed like the story was being buried, and then to see the outcome, just another instance of a black woman being disrespected and unprotected, and of course this time by the hands of the system.
Yeah, man.
It's sad, man. It's sad.
Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor.
R.I.P. Breonna Taylor. Condolences once again to her family and her friends. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's sad, man. It's sad. But unfortunately, that is not the only case. As of recent, I want to say a few months ago, there was a 9-year-old girl that was pepper sprayed by police officers. A 9-year-old child. And to give you background, so apparently the mother of this 9-year-old girl, she called the police because the 9-year-old child, she threatened to kill her mom and kill herself, I believe. So naturally, a mom being scared for her life and her child's life, and the mental health and the stability of her child, called the police. She thought that the police are there to serve and protect. I don't really know what else to do. I'm gonna call the police, and they ended up arresting her, putting her in handcuffs, and while she was in handcuffs, the body cam footage, you see and hear the police officers getting frustrated with her because obviously she's in handcuffs. She's mentally unstable. She's not in a good place. She's being handcuffed. She's being thrown in the back of a police car. The cuffs are probably tight. They're adding force. They're adding pressure to her. But at the end of the day, she's in handcuffs. And you hear and see the police officers getting frustrated and saying, you know what? No, what they actually said was, you're acting like a child. And where the girl said, I am a child.
Bruh, she's 9.
I'm 9 years old. She was pleading for her father. And they said, if you don't, stop resisting, we're going to pepper spray you. And they pepper sprayed her while she was in handcuffs. Make it make sense.
Why do you need to pepper spray a 9-year-old girl when she's handcuffed?
Make it make sense, man.
Like, to do what? What is it? What to do? What?
Yeah.
Throw her in the car and shut the door.
And what? To put her to sleep? Is that she's gonna get more irate and she's gonna fight back more.
Yeah, and she's gonna be probably screaming, like, just acting.
This shit just don't make sense. Like, just make it make sense, man.
I thought pepper spray was to help subdue, but if she's already subdued, she's already in handcuffs. What's the point?
What's the point? And
you're just doing it just to do it.
Based on that's exactly it. Based on the officer's statement, they were frustrated and mad that she even had the gall and the nerve to be fighting back. So they said, if you keep fighting back, I'm gonna just pepper spray you. Like, so you didn't have to pepper spray her. You just didn't like the fact that she was screaming and hollering and yelling back. So you just decided, like, let me have a little more fun here.
Yeah, let me spice this up.
Let me use some of my other tools in my tool belt, and let me pepper spray her. Let me make this interesting.
That's wild. And
to a 9-year-old child, and at the end of the day, it's a 9-year-old girl. Like, and there was multiple officers. I want to say there was about 3 to 4 of them.
At a 9-year-old girl, it should only take one.
It should take one. You already have her in cuffs. Put her in the cruiser. Close the door, let her calm down, and do what you got to do from there. But make it make sense. Why did you have to pepper spray the girl? And on top of that, when the department or the police chief or a representative from it happened in Rochester, New York, was interviewed, they said they had the gall and the nerve to say the child's resistance and failure to obey commands required that force be used to gain her compliance. What does that even mean to gain her compliance?
What do you want her to do?
Yeah.
She's already in handcuffs.
Like, you want her to be like, please, Mr. Officer, please, I'll do anything you say. Like, just please don't hurt me. I'll do whatever you... Like, what? She's getting arrested. You've been called. There's a mental health issue there. Going back to Chad Wheeler, a manic episode, bipolar, what have you. She has a mental health issue. That's why you were called. You don't approach it with some type of, you know... You don't. You gotta approach those situations in a certain way,
right? And with police officers, I remember we had a situation at home, and we were debating if we should call the police. And we did just to see like what would happen. And
social experiment.
Yeah, and the police said, "Oh, well, we only come for criminal calls. So they're not gonna come for a health." Or a mental health call. But police do get called for mental health calls.
For sure.
And police are trained to treat anybody and everybody like a criminal. That's what they're there for. They're there for criminal calls. And for you to subdue this little girl, put handcuffs on her, and pepper spray her, you're just doing the most. You're just doing extra for God knows what. Maybe you have no respect for this little black girl.
Yeah.
You have no
respect for black women.
Black women in general.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that same officer, if they had a child, that they would be
super compassionate.
Pissed. Yeah. If their kid was pepper sprayed by a cop with handcuffs on.
For sure. 1,000%. And if it was a white woman, if it was a white girl in cuffs, they would have been super compassionate.
Oh my God. The white girl in cuffs wouldn't have been pepper sprayed.
She probably wouldn't have even been put in cuffs.
Probably not. Probably got a talking to.
Bro, but that's again another instance where unfortunately a black girl, not even woman, a black girl was again disrespected, unprotected, and undervalued. But I want to, before we get out of here, I forgot about this one. Did you hear about the woman that was attacked in New York City? It was in Harlem. She was going to like the local bodega. She was getting a bottle of wine, and there was like 4 or 5 young men in front of the store, in the store. And I guess they were trying to get her number, talk to her. But they just they basically offered to pay for her bottle of wine.
Okay.
And she politely declined and said, "No, I'm good. I'll pay for it. I got it. Thank you, though. Thank you. No, thank you." And because she declined the offer, they proceeded to attack her. And this is like 4 to 5 black men. Proceeded to attack this woman. They kicked her. They punched her. They spit on her. And one of the men bit her face.
What?
They bit her face, bro. And I saw an interview with her, and she was literally like, I felt like they were animals attacking me.
Damn.
And this was, in Harlem at a local bodega, and, obviously... young kids, they're chilling on the block, they're in front of the store, in the store, holding it down. And we've all been there, chilling on the block, chilling at the local convenience store, corner store, bodega, what have you, and being dumb kids. We've all done stupid things, but for it to be that,
that's a little extra.
That's a little extra.
Like, yo, just take your L. She turned you down.
She turned you down, and my thing is, there's 4 of y'all. Not one of y'all came to your senses and was like, "Yo, we're wilding. Chill."
Right.
Like,
what?
All 3 or 4 of y'all attacked her
in agreement. Like, yo, let's get her.
Like, beat her ass. Like,
what? Where did you do that? Like, that's crazy.
And
for a bottle of wine, just because she denied you to buy her wine,
right? And maybe she was super spicy and said some shit back. Maybe it got to that point where there was a heated exchange of words. But let it be that. Let it be a heated exchange of words and keep it pushing, keep it moving.
Yeah.
Call it every name in the book if you feel like you need to, and if your ego was hurt that bad. But for you to spit on her, kick her, punch her, and bite her face, that's next level shit. That's horrible. And when I heard that story, I'm like, that's wild. And again, this is in our own communities. This is by our own people. When these kids or whoever, these men, should have been there to protect her and hold her down. Like, yo, fam, you started off on the right foot. Like, you offered to buy,
nice.
you offered to buy her a bottle of wine, which you should be. That's my guy. If that's good, I could commend you and salute you.
Nice little gentleman move.
Nice little gesture.
You know?
But then for it to turn into that, you tripping. And when I heard that, I'm like, yo, fuck the police. There needs to be some street justice here.
Right. If that young woman had a boyfriend, a brother, an uncle, a cousin,
anybody,
like, yo, go handle that.
Anyone in that neighborhood, even if, you know, they didn't know that woman and they knew who these people were, yo, go check them dudes. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's wild.
Because, again, we all have mothers. Like, that was somebody's mother, probably. That was somebody's sister. That was somebody's cousin, girlfriend,
daughter,
wife, daughter. We out here acting like we don't have mothers and sisters and daughters. Like, you telling me when you see a black woman, you don't automatically see a sister?
Bruh.
You don't see your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, your aunt? You go to the extent to spit on her and punch her and kick her and bite her face? You on bath salts?
Bro, for real.
Like,
you a zombie now, bro?
Like, what are you faces? On? And again, back to that, we're taking the movement and the fight, you know, backwards. We're in the streets, we're protesting, we're trying to make changes to the system, and it's another scenario where, you know, people outside of our communities can point us and be like, look,
why should we care about you when y'all are doing this to each other?
Their own people are calling them animals.
You know, and it's like, man, people need Tupac in their life again, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women. Do we hate our women? What?
When we was raised by a woman, got our
name from a woman, and our game from a woman.
That's why I'm so confused.
Like, what?
It's like a lot of us were raised by single women at that. We were raised by women. We were raised by our mothers and love our mothers to death. But for some reason, and our mothers don't raise us that way, right? But for some reason, when we get out of our house and we're in the world, we don't see our mothers and these other black women. It's weird. It's very weird. I don't know why. I don't have the answers, but it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
It's like there's a point in our culture and our people that men don't respect our women and our women don't respect our men, and I don't know how we got to this point to where we're not magnetized to each other. You know, like positive and negative, the magnetism, they come together, but for some reason we're repelling. We're the only group of people that have issues with the opposite sex and do shit like this. Yeah. And it's common.
And I will say, I get what you're saying, but that black women have historically, and especially right now, do come to the support of black men a lot. And I will say that the backbone of our families, they keep the family together. And, you know, they're just the backbone, and they're just strong, you know. But yeah, I do understand what you're saying. But yeah, I when I saw that story, I was just like, this is crazy. Yeah. This is crazy. So, but yeah, man, we just wanted to bring this episode to y'all and just celebrate our black queens and let them know we appreciate them, and, you know, they definitely should be respected. We should protect them, wrap our arms around them, and hold them down at the end of the day.
Right. You know, we're only you know, strong. We're strong together.
Right.
You know, we got to stick together. We have to come together in all aspects of life. And at the end of the day, if we're not doing that, then we're kind of lost, yo.
Yeah, we're self-destructing. So
Self-destructive.
hold down your black queens, your mothers, your sisters, your aunties, your daughters, your girlfriends, your wives,
Grandmas,
what have you. And just make sure they're protected. Make sure they're, you know, respected and protected and appreciated and loved and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And I think that's another episode
man.
of Driving While Black podcast. Thank y'all for riding with us, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.